Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Today, I have my co host, Barb, here with me. Are you there, Barbara?
Yes, I am. Hi, Johnny.
How are you? Today, we wanted to talk about an interesting subject, and that has to do with people going through being in the hospital, you know, and what it's like when they go to the hospital and the helpless feelings that
We
happen.
are? I didn't know that was our topic. I thought
Yes.
our topic was aftercare,
Well, aftercare.
post-surgery
Well, wait
by
a
a
minute. No,
friend.
no, you're
That
right.
is what I thought our topic
You're
was.
right about that, but you also need to understand something else. I have been in the hospital myself, and it's a very I can see it from both perspectives, like the taking care of a friend as well as what it must have been like for the person in the hospital. If that makes
So
any
we're
sense.
going to start with the perspective of what it's like to be in the hospital.
We can do that. Would
Okay,
you
go
like that?
ahead. And this experience
Well,
was it intense for you
it's
or
very, very
emotional?
humbling. It can be very humbling because what happens is anytime you go through surgery, they have to, put you asleep, and you know that's always risky. And I notice, like, I can tell by my family whenever I've gone through surgeries because I've gone through 10 of them.
I was just going to ask you, does your family do you feel the vibes that your family is concerned about
Oh
that
yes,
you so
absolutely,
then of
yes,
course you're going to feel of course you are going to pick that up and you are going to respond and
exactly, yes,
feel the fear too because you trust
yes,
these people so
yes,
much. So
right. It can be.
will you get over it though, right? But or
Well,
are
you
you
can.
telling us here tonight that it is so traumatic,
No,
it
you
was
don't get
traumatic for
over
you
it.
that you need us to know about it before the caregiver accepts the patient into their
Yes,
home and cares for
right.
them. We need to think about your mental capacity. Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying?
it can be very intense. All surgery is intense, and it can be very, my father once said there's no such thing as a minor surgery, you
Oh
know.
no, he is
He-
so right.
And now, obviously, when and I just want to I want to make sure I understand. I want to make sure I say the right something that's understood. I'm not saying take advantage of people. I'm not saying, take advantage of your friend. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that it's an experience that's hard to understand unless you're the one going. But you're right. Nobody should take advantage of a friend's
I didn't
hospitality.
say anything about anybody taking
No,
advantage
no,
of
no, no. Wait
anybody.
a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't say that either. I was just talking about, general. And the thing is that sometimes, there's two sides of it. Like, and actually, what I find also interesting is how when you take care of someone that's been into the hospital, it's amazing how compassionate people can be when they take care of you
Hold
after
on.
you.
I need to back up a little bit. Okay. I'm not really following, so maybe the listeners are not following.
Okay.
Are you talking about what are they taking advantage of? I really don't even know. You just started saying they're not taking advantage. What are they doing? Okay, let's start from the beginning. What are
All
we
right.
talking
That's
about?
fine.
We're talking about somebody who asks a friend to care for them after a surgery. May I go on a little bit about that, the
Go
topic?
right ahead.
Okay. Just make sure that you heed all warnings and you place your boundaries. And also, when it is scheduled, you really think ahead. What will I be doing at that time? And also, ask a lot of questions. So you're
Exactly.
yes, so you're very prepared. But then you also must then, after looking at everything, then you give them your answer and make sure you keep up the boundaries of exactly the arrival and the departure
Exactly.
and any other little things you want to clear in the air before. hand because it is very hard work. When
It
a
is.
person cannot move or walk and they're laid up in bed and you are there to care for their every single need and their animal that needs to be walked and fed many times a day, and you need to bathe them, another adult, then I think it's a great opportunity. If you haven't cared for a person, a friend like that after a surgery for several days, I think you should before you jump into a big commitment, like maybe taking care of an elderly parent or adopting anything, another human being.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
added, you think, oh, what's a few more this and that. I won't go into details, but that's
But
just my advice. And you give your love, your love. Don't expect for anything in return because they don't have it to give. They
right.
are usually on pain medication. They're grumpy, griping, complaining, worried, concerned. It becomes all about them. So you have to know what your cap is on that as you, the caretaker slash friend, family member. And you have
And
to know what you personally, emotionally, or time wise. And also, when you're thinking about that time you're caring for them, multiply that by, one
and also, I want to say something else.
times
Uh,
two.
when I
Go ahead.
went in to this was a very supposed to be a real minor thing. I went in to have a tooth extracted, and what happened was my mom told me the day that I was going to have it done that they were going to extract my tooth. I did not know that I was going to have surgery. I found out on that day that I was going to go in and have surgery for the chest. Now, I go in to get the surgery, okay, and what happened was they tell you to monitor your blood pressure on the day that you have surgery. That night, my blood pressure was getting high, really high. And for the first time in my life, I had to go to the emergency room. And, you know, the point I'm trying to make with this is that you need people around you that love you, that watch over you when these things happen. And my parents, they took me to the emergency to watch over me to make sure I was okay. It's it wasn't, like I said before, there's no such thing as a minor surgery. I guess the stress of knowing that I had to go in and get it done, that day was overwhelming for me. And then it's like all of a sudden, I had to go in and, get surgery. And then that night I had to go to the emergency room. And I
Oh,
remember,
really? Oh,
yes,
you had a complication?
well, it wasn't a complication, Barbara. It was more like, I think from the stress of the surgery, like it was
Hmm.
like, see, my blood pressure wasn't going down, it was going up. And that was when they decided that, my parent I decided, but my parents recommended that I go on high blood pressure medicine. I don't know if you really remember this, but I called the next day, and your daughter answered, and I said I was in the emergency room. She goes, "What? You're in the
Oh,
emergency room?" And then she called and she told you about it. What I'm trying to get at is, uh, surgery can be very, very scary, and because you're putting somebody under, and it's a vulnerable state to be in.
you're
Uh,
right. You know what? You're very right. I didn't even think about it, how important that was, but I did do that. I did actually talk to the person before their surgery. I wrote a very nice, uplifting message saying, just enjoy it. You're in the best hands. You have a great doctor, great surgeon. It's time to relax and just let them take care of you and make sure your body is warm. They take care of all of that. It's really important. Now they realize to put your body in a vacuum, like a big sleeping bag. You lay there and it covers you from here and it balloons out with this light, wonderful, warm air. And they get you just at the right temperature. The
Yeah,
anesthesiologist comes over and they're very serious. Yes, anybody who goes under, that is a risk and it is very serious. And you want the people around you. You're yearning for the love and support and encouragement. So I did send that to them. They need it. They want to hear it. And the bedside manner is really important, but these people, they're all about doing their job perfectly. And whatever they need to do to
right.
focus, they're going to do, even if it might hurt your feelings. And if they tell you you're the worst patient I've ever seen in my entire history of doing foot surgery, you better wake up because that is probably a lot of people. And mind your doctor. Oh, I have to tell you this. A friend of mine, you know her, she's been on the show many times. Well, she had this foot surgery
Right.
and she lives in Seattle. She was trying to get a hold of my friend who I was taking care of just recently for a three-way phone call to talk to us about it. And I tried, and not everybody was available. I tried three times, and I'm thank you, but we're gonna handle it. Well, I'm wondering now if she really did warn me about how much care it would be, or she told me that she went over the handlebars. She was only 2 weeks after a foot surgery to straighten up the toes, which they put many screws in there, one or two at least screws in your toes. And they open it wide up. That is a very long bone.
Okay.
That didn't work well, but they have to cut it. And I looked it all up. It is very intense. So you don't want to have that swollen and then any kind of surgery. If it swells, it tightens in and you can bust out those screws and ruin everything the doctor has done. So
Right.
they're very strict. So I had this patient where I'm trying to keep down and the foot above the heart and ordering all these pads and pillows everywhere in a walkway and then no wheelchair. It's like, where's the wheeler I thought that you had in the garage? Well, that's not helping here. So, yeah, it was a lot. Okay, it was a lot, but also there I always see the good side in everything. When you're really, really busy, you tend to just get more done. You know how the saying is, ask a
Right.
busy person to help you out. It's true. So there's always some good, it circulates things. It gets
Never heard
things
that
flowing.
saying, but that's nice.
Oh, you
Yes.
haven't?
But one of the things that I will say about you, and it is true. I mean, I guess with something like what you did, or what things like you've done with your friends before. Sometimes it's better to try too hard than not hard enough. And the thing is that you do tend to try. You have, I've seen you at the time carry the weight on you. I've seen you do this with your friends. I mean,
Thank you.
you will like, okay, okay, well, I wanted to help her out. So, and then what you thought, something you thought was supposed to be one day turned out to be 3 days. And then, and I've seen you do this. And, obviously you need to be able to raise your boundaries, but you were there for people that really needed help. And I'm not going to name all those stories, but you've
Yeah.
really been there when there was a time when somebody really needed you. In some cases, life saved. I mean, you were there for some people. I won't even tell the stories because it's private, where you really saved a person's life. And
Well, not
actually,
really.
wait a
Not
minute.
really.
Well,
No.
wait a minute. Well, that's
What?
what I
When did
have
I say?
seen. Well, first of all, I remember when this person that whose life you saved was on the show, and she even
What
verified.
do you mean I saved a life? I don't tell him. Is it a secret I saved a life? Who is it? What did I do?
Yeah, Ilky in an accident, you saved her
No, I
life.
didn't even see the accident happen.
That's
No.
Ilky
She
said you
went
saved her life.
way Well, she said I saved her life because I took care of her after the accident for 6 full days after she broke her. She was in the hospital for 6 days. Then I did the 6 days after the hospital, and she had broken her skull in 3 places. So, yeah, the foot surgery was nothing. That was a cinch. So, yeah, I have. And I do it not just because I think, oh, I might need saving. I guess I'm nice. I guess I'm just a nice, giving person. And if I can't give, that accident was like 4 or 5 years ago. If I can't give 3, 4, 5 days of my time for a friend who has a rare surgery, then who am I? But then again, if it riles you up, if it screws your life up in any way, I just don't think that it is you are the one that should be doing it, because you don't have room for screwing up. But luckily, my life was not screwed up from it,
All right.
and it's okay. But I love my friends. If things change and I cannot be the caretaker, or hey, maybe I decide I'm not going to be the caretaker. It's not because I don't love you. It's because things have just maybe shifted a little bit for me.
Well, you can only do it when you're the right person to do it. You have to be able to say, like, you can't, you can't, sometimes, it's not always about, okay, I have to be the right person to do it, because it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes it's better to let the other person who is the right person to do it, you know.
Well, listen to this. I my recovery from I had an accident, so I had to have a surgery. Well, for the first 2 days, it's like you're all on pain medication. You need somebody to drive you home. You want nurturing. You want somebody to read the paper and make sure you're getting the right medication at the time. Okay, I thought I hired not hired, but asked the top person, the perfect person, as you say. I thought I did. And I didn't. I couldn't believe it. And then I overheard the person saying, I'm just not much of a nurturer. I'm just not much of a caretaker. I'm just not, and I thought this person was the epitome of that, probably would have been, but I was wrong. It's okay. All I had to do is like reach over and open my pill bottle and take a pill and go back to sleep. I'm no bother. I'm no bother. But I also wanted to point out before we end that, hey, before you go have surgery, why don't you do some mind therapy, deep breathing, and think about the others that will be around you afterwards and how you're going to treat them. And they always do, to a certain extent. It's nice. There's been generosity, all that. But just go zen and think about how you're going to treat those people that are caring for you. And what do they have on their agenda that's important to meet the requirements to, make their living. So I had an example. It's just, I'm pretty tired. I actually got very off on my sleep, and that happens too. Even when my dad visits just for fun and he just sits on the couch, it's still so much cooking, so much cleaning, so much answering so many questions and just doting on them that it wears me out when I have to do my life and family. And you know what? It's time for me just to do my life and family. I have to say no. And here's my official no. I'm not going to be a caretaker anymore. And I decided after these last couple caretaker times that I'm not going to be an elderly care person's care an elderly
Right.
parent's caretaker. I'm not. Okay. I tried. And I mean, I tested it out. I just think that I can't waste myself. Uh-uh. I need to travel. I need to see the world. So
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Right. Well,
Oh,
this has
this is
been.
what I wanted to ask you, Johnny. How were your caretakers? Because you talked about how
Ooh,
you felt. They were, I knew you would say wonderful. 'Cause you have such a great mom and wonderful
Yeah,
sisters and a
I
great
really
dad.
did. I mean, it was wonderful, but that doesn't mean it wasn't scary. I mean,
Wait, no, I thought you were going to say that's doesn't mean it was wonderful for them. And that was my question, but I hadn't finished asking it yet.
yeah,
Please.
right,
My
okay, but
question was, I'm not finished. My question was, how did they feel about caretaking you? Were you easy? Do you know how they felt? Was it
I'm
hard? Was
sure
it
they
easy?
felt fine. They
You're
felt fine.
sure? Did you
Yeah,
even
they
talk
felt
to them
fine
about it?
because I mean, they were, like for example, my father when he took they took me to the emergency room. They were he was kind of upset that they didn't do more that night. He was kind of upset about that. He thought that they really should have done something to lower my blood pressure. They didn't. I had to go to see the doctor the next day. See,
Why?
technically,
He's a psychiatrist, though, but he was questioning the heart doctor.
well, he was questioning why they didn't do anything with by getting my blood pressure down that night. He
I'm
was,
glad you're okay, Johnny.
yeah, he should have, I think he was sort of thinking that it's like, well, gee, but we took him all the way to the emergency room and they just told me to go home. I mean,
He
that's,
he wanted more done.
but
He
well,
thought he
it's
needed
hard
more
to,
done.
it's
He should
hard.
just be glad that you were okay enough and you
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
need more.
You have to understand something. It's hard, I think, for a doctor to diagnose his family because what happens is this. This is my theory on it. When when the doctor sees something that is his family, he's more likely to not see it. And this is a good
He's more
example.
likely you cut out. He's more likely to what? Not what?
Not see certain things. I'll give you an example. Okay. My grandfather was in the hospital and he had a stroke. And what happened was uh, they told my father, they said, your father had a stroke. No, he didn't. No, he didn't, is what he said. And obviously, my father was an MD, so he probably understood strokes more than probably most people. Okay, but he was in denial because it was his dad, and he didn't want to admit that his father had a stroke.
Wonder why. And you know what?
Because
Okay, I will tell you, no. I know why. I get it. They don't want to know. Okay, I get it. Denial. I understand. But when my mom was dying, I looked at her. We were watching TV at her place. I said, you know what? People always say, why me? Why me? Or this couldn't happen because it's you or me. And it's not happening. It's not happening. And I told her, why not you? And we're mother daughter. So, like, I wouldn't be able to say that to anybody. But she looked at me and she's like, you're right. Why not me? She finally had somebody that clicked into the reality.
yeah,
Finally. And it just clicked and she needed it. Okay. So why don't you just make sure you're always yourself? And, remember we were talking about going with your gut in
mhm.
a previous show, going with your gut. Go with your gut always. We need to go with our guts. Hey, if you're
Right.
really busy and you're saying, oh, yeah, yeah, sure, I'll take care of you for 2 or 3 days tops, 3 days tops. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you're busy. No, every
Hmm.
second, every day, every minute matters. If you look at it like that, everything will fall into place a little
Right.
better.
Well, on that
Okay,
note,
well, good night, everybody. Make sure you
not
follow us
everyone.
on Spreaker for all of our show updates. Thank you, Johnny.
Good night, everyone.